Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Rochester Today, Friday morning. I'm Andy Brownell. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. And we're joined this morning by Dan Fifield with the Landing MN. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, Andy. Great to be here as always.
Yeah, good to hear from you. And as always, the topic when Dan is with us is homelessness in the Rochester area and of the activities at the Landing MN. And of note with that part of it, I saw a news release not that long ago that you brought in a new executive director for the organization. Maybe you can tell us all about that.
Well, the rumors are true. Really won't say new because the person has been with us. I jokingly say day -4. Alex Hurlebos is our new executive director as of August 1st of this year. Alex got to know us, or we got to know Alex when we founded the Landing. He was a social worker at another organization here in town that worked with folks experiencing homelessness, and we talked with him about what we needed to know, and he gave us some insight, and I jokingly again say that he figured we'd last maybe 6 weeks, if that, in our endeavors, and now we are about 6 years into it, and he has been with us ever since, and he is now our first official executive director. So we're really excited about that. Brings in a wealth of experience, and he's going to give us some longevity. I mean, I'm getting old, so one of these days I'll want to go and retire and do something. But gives us some longevity as far as somebody who's been with the organization and knows who we are and what we are and how we want to be. So.
As executive director, what does that job entail? And I guess in addition to that, how has your role changed?
Well, as far as what Alex will be doing, he'll be overseeing day-to-day operations of the nonprofit. Everything from the toilet doesn't flush to what's our next move, what's the future of the organization looks like, funding, everything from A to Z will be on his plate. It was all the things that I did on top of being the founder of the organization. So he's got a lot of stuff that he's going to be doing and that he is doing now, and he's doing a great job. As far as what I'll be doing, Holly and I will both be continuing to do all of a lot of the public speaking. We'd like to go out and talk to folks in the faith community. We do that a lot on the weekends and during the week, and other organizations will go out and talk with them. We're also setting up a large amount of different committees within the organization to look at long-range planning and things of that nature. So we're very involved with that. What's that look like? We already know we need more space. We needed more space when we opened the doors. So strategic development, things of that nature will be involved in.
I imagine you will be heavily involved in fundraising.
I will be heavily involved in fundraising. I love telling the story of how we got started and why it's important for people to help fund us. 67% of all of the funds that come in are from people just like you that donate to the Landing because they believe in what we're doing and believe in the reasons we're doing it. We could have a whole conversation on that. And take up a whole 20-minute time block. Maybe we'll do that next time. But 67, if not a little bit more percent, like I said, comes from private individuals, private foundations. Mayo Clinic is a huge supporter of ours. We do have one large grant from the state, but we're looking at other opportunities, with private sector funding and things of that nature as well. So.
Well, I'd be remiss to ask you, after you mention all of that, if a person's listening right now and they wish to join that 67% of private supporters, how do they do it?
Well, there's a couple of different ways that they can do it. The best way is just to drop a check in the mail. If you still do checks, a lot of people don't, but that avoids any credit card processing fees or anything like that. You can go online and go to our website, thelandingmn.org. And make a donation there. There are fees involved with that, so we don't realize the entire amount of money. You can set it up through, if you have an IRA or whatever, you can set it up with your people that handle your funds to make deposits. At the end of the year, you can leave his property in your will. You can do all kinds of things to help continue to help us provide the services that we need to provide down the road. So,
And I know your organization has a large event coming up to raise some money, but also to celebrate the activities and the services provided by the landing. Maybe tell us what's happening with the upcoming gala.
well, the gala is December 6th, Friday night, December 6th this year. It's our fourth annual Holiday of Hope Gala. We are really excited about that. It's at the Hilton downtown. Tickets went on sale on the 17th, so 2 days ago? We're about half sold already. Half sold out, 350 tickets-ish are available. We just are excited to see everybody that wants to help support us there. As I said, you can buy tickets online. We have a band that will be playing a couple of different sets throughout the course of the night. They were there last year and were wonderful. They play a whole range of different music for different tastes, and they were great. We'll have a guest speaker. That's yet to be determined who that's going to be, but the last couple of years, they've been people with lived experience, and they've been very motivational. So, but we're excited about that. That's coming up. And as always, we still continue to need donations as far as food for our cafe area. Gently loved, as I call them, clothing, men's jeans, hoodies, things like that. You can find all of that information on our website as well. So.
What kind of food do you wish to receive if somebody has something in their pantry and wants to help out?
What we look for is shelf-stable items. So if you were to go to Walmart and walk down the canned food aisle, and there are, cans of Spam, for instance, cans of cups, macaroni and cheese cups, tuna packets, raviolios in single-serve microwavable containers, things like that, crackers. Granola bars are great. Don't want crunchy ones because our friends sometimes don't have the best teeth in the world, and a crunchy granola bar hurts their gums. So Nutri-Grain bars are very much wanted. Things like that. Potato chips work because they mush up in your mouth, but fruit is good if you want to bring in some bananas or oranges, things like that. We cannot take any perishable items, meat, or anything like that. We have to source those ourselves. So.
And I imagine you can't accept things that are prepared because of
we can't unless it comes. Well, if it came from a restaurant, let's say you wanted to do a supper and you contracted with Canadian Honker and they provided the food and brought it in and did it that way, we can do that, but you can't cook anything at home. That's against the county health department's regulation. So we have to be careful with that. But speaking of food, just to give you some idea of numbers, we're preparing evening meals. We serve those at 5 o'clock. We're feeding right around 100 people every night now. Numbers have drastically gone up. We're averaging 130 to 140 unique individuals a day coming in this month so far to the day center. When we opened this building up a year and a half ago, we were averaging 50 or 60.
Wow.
Yeah. So the problem with homelessness is not getting any better. And, based on the unavailability of affordable housing and things of that nature, it's not going to get any better in the foreseeable future, I don't suspect. So.
Yeah, when you speak of that, the availability of affordable housing, and you hear these horror stories of, somebody who has, where they're right on the edge, right? We have a whole bunch of people. I think the United Way just came out with a study that found almost a third of county residents are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, 40,000. I heard. Was it something like that? 40,000 Olmsted County residents are living paycheck to paycheck.
So that means a busted transmission, or even something not even as major as that, could ruin you.
Well, you broke your leg, you broke your ankle.
Yeah,
you can't work. You don't. Your employer doesn't offer you those benefits of being able to take time off for an illness. A family member gets sick. Your kid gets sick. You're older like me and develop health problems, and you have to take expensive medications. I mean, the list goes on and on that can throw you into this, and people just don't understand it. But the reality of it is that yes, probably 40,000 people in Olmsted County are on the brink of potentially becoming homeless.
That number is astounding to me. Just
Yeah.
astounding. Well, you mentioned clothing, and immediately what popped into my head was you mentioned hoodies, but I started thinking about something warmer than hoodies because we've been lucky enough to enjoy warm and mild weather so far, but we all know that that's going to change in the relatively near future. I guess what's going to happen this winter?
Well, it'll be interesting. It's my understanding that we have the overflow beds that are going to be continuing at the Salvation Army. So that means that we've got 95 beds in Rochester for folks who are experiencing homelessness to seek shelter at night, including Dorothy Day. But you've got to look at it from the standpoint we've got potential of 95 overnight shelter beds, but we've got 140 people potentially, if not twice that many, that are experiencing homelessness and won't potentially have a shelter bed to go to. So it's going to be an interesting winter to see what happens. There are going to be some people that are sleeping outside and that are going to be cold. We provide them, we're blessed with a large selection of winter coats. Generally, water resistant gloves are a little bit harder to come by. We do buy those when we need to. We buy them in bulk. They're not the best in the world, but they're better than not having any at all. But, they also get lost and get ruined pretty quickly. So
If that scenario occurs, has that happened in the past winters here? Have we not been able to find shelter for everyone wanting it?
yeah, yeah, it has. It has. I think it's going to be a little bit better, or we're a little closer right now. Um, Again, it's a matter of if individuals want to stay in a congregate setting or not. Um, I can't speak from personal experience, but I can imagine that if I was homeless, I would probably question where I was going to stay as well. Um,
I
you
know,
know,
but
but
I guess when it gets down to survival,
I
I
can get
think
a bunch of blankets and I can huddle up in a corner and probably stay somewhat close to warm. But I don't know. In my opinion, we need more shelter space. We need more emergency shelter space. And there are discussions that are circling around that. But we've had these discussions for 4 years as well, 4 or 5 years. So we need to see some change. We need to see some radical movement in this, from the emergency shelter end of it and housing and pretty much all the way across the board. So
is that obviously something I imagine you're talking to the people who have authority to do those sort of things.
we are, and we're trying to get everybody on the same page. And those discussions are ongoing between the city and the county, and some of the nonprofit organizations here in town, as to what that's going to look like and what that community response should look like. But um, it's a it's a big problem. It's not going to be an easy fix. Um, it's not going to happen overnight. So we have to address the issues that we have today, plus look down the road for those things that we need to start to take care of that are going to help, mitigate some of this. I'm not going to use the word eliminate because I don't think you'll ever eliminate homelessness. I like to think that we could, but I don't see that that's a reality in the mix of things these days. So
When you go out and speak in the community, Dan, do you spend a lot of time talking about, I guess, the empathy equation of this all, that
well,
trying to, put people into another person's shoes?
I like to explain it, and what I like to try and do is get people to look at things through a different set of lenses. People have looked at people that have been homeless for a long time and label them as drug addicts or drunks or lazy, or they want to be this way, or they want to live in, they don't want to have to live with rules and things like this. And when you get to know these individuals, you find out really quickly that they have absolutely no faith in their ability to get out of the situation that they're in, that they see absolutely no light at the end of the tunnel for anything to be any better than what their situation is today. They don't see that even if they were to get out of, if they were to go to, let's say they've got a chemical dependency, let's say they're hooked on meth and they want to stop, but they go to treatment and they're in treatment for 30, 60, 90 days, however long they can stay in treatment. And then they come out of treatment and they look great and they've gained weight, they're healthier. They get out of treatment, they have no place to go but back to the streets, back to the landing, back to Salvation Army, back to Rochester Community Warming Center, around the same people that they were with before, in the same set of circumstances that they were before, and they're going to fall right back into the same old patterns that they were before because nothing has changed after the fact of treatment. We see it time and time again. And it's sad because there are people that have gone to treatment, come back and look great, and come back to the streets, been sober for 3, 4, 5 days, and then succumb to the urge, use again, and die of an overdose because that is the prime time that you are going to die of an overdose is fresh out of treatment. Because you think that your body can handle the same amount of drugs that you were doing before, and it can't.
That's tragic.
It is. And it's so frustrating from our perspective because we know these people. They're family to us. These kids, man, they just need somebody to love and care about them, and somebody to help instill the fact that they are worthy and that they can succeed. I sit here and I look at the folks that are street level drug dealers, and with these are individuals that probably don't have a good high school education or a good education at all, that the only thing they know they can do to make a living or to sell, and let's just use street level drugs, blues, for instance. I can go out and sell blues for $5 or $10 a piece. They probably cost me $1 or $2 a piece. If I can sell them for $5 a piece, sell 6 of them an hour, that's $30 an hour. They cost me I made $24 tax free an hour. What am I gonna do without an education, without any skills training, that I'm gonna get paid $24 an hour or the equivalent of $24 an hour in my pocket? What am I gonna do? There's nothing. So why don't I go out and sell drugs?
And when you're talking about blues, you're talking about those fentanyl pills.
Yeah.
That we hear about in the news all the time.
Yeah. I don't condone it. We don't condone it.
Sure.
But I get it. You have to survive. I think one of the things that we are so lacking in is giving folks resources to get better. And I'm not talking about treatment. There's all kinds of treatment facilities. But let's send somebody to treatment, and then when they get out, have a place for them to go, whether it's a sober house, a halfway house, or whatever it is. But they've got a supervised place that they can go and exist and get them skills, get them job training, get them, let's work with the local unions, the trade unions. Here's one of 5 things you can be. You can be a plumber, an electrician, a roofing carpenter, a pipe fitter, or a mason. And we're going to get you with those centers and get you trained, get you an apprenticeship. And if you prove yourself, you can move on in this, and you will start with making a decent paycheck. But we'll give you a set of skills. We'll help you get those skills where you can buy a house, where you can make enough money to raise a family, to exist in society today. We don't do that.
Hope.
Yeah, we don't do that. Here you go. Go to treatment.
You've pointed to a large societal discussion, right?
Well,
do you build more prisons to address the problem of the crime, or do you invest the money in what you're talking about to also end the crime?
Well, I think there's, I think for some of these individuals, the ones that I work with, I think if you made it a little more uncomfortable for them, um, once they're found guilty of committing the crime, and then give them a better resolve when they get done, you know, um, spending time, in whatever facility they get to spend time in, and they have something to look forward to when they get off the streets, and the possibility of a better end result. I think that you'd see a lot of people choose the better end result if that made any sense.
It does.
You know,
Like I say, it's a huge societal discussion that we as the people living in this country and this community, it's stuck. I agree
yeah,
with you. We're treading water is what we're doing.
we are, and things aren't going to get any better until we try and make them better. And I don't see, to an extent, that we're trying to make some of these things better.
Well, Dan, darn it. We could carry on this discussion for quite a while longer, but I unfortunately am out of time. I appreciate it. We'll continue at another date, I hope.
Well, I'm always happy to talk to you, Andy, anytime you want to. Like I said, we could spend probably a whole nother conversation on how this looks. So, but I appreciate you, continuing to reach out to us. As I said earlier, if anybody wants to donate or get any more information, landingmn.org is the website. You can drop us an email there.
All right. That sounds great. Dan Fifield with Landing MN. This is Rochester Today on Newstalk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.